right. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are tuning in. I am Jeffrey Eberger, and welcome to season 3 of Holistic Mental Fitness series, where myself and MoJo Entertainment LLC, who I'm really humbled and excited to be partnered with in this journey, believes that mental fitness is the new physical health. So before I bring on my very, very special guest this evening, Joanna Kleier, I'm hoping I'm saying that right. She'll correct me when I bring her to the stage. Let me just start out by saying, as a certified holistic wellness coach, I am really very, very humbled to be affiliated with an amazing group of humanitarian entrepreneurs who are aligned with the only holistic mental wellness company that is focusing on the microbiome. And people say, what is that? Well, that is actually the gut, brain, heart, axis health. And it is a science that's disrupting the health and wellness industry today, especially when it comes to mental health. Who out there hasn't really experienced stress, anxiety, depression, or even has experienced suicidal thoughts? And this interview series is very near and dear to my own heart, because we're sharing stories of others who are opening up in their own conversations from all areas of wellness to help people understand it's okay to not be okay, and it's also okay to talk about mental health. Share your experiences and become informed about alternative options that are out there, that are safe and work. I was one of those people 4 years ago. So what we do is we provide real solutions for real people who are serious about getting their physical and their mental health going from barely surviving to thriving again. You know, there is no really physical health without mental wellness, because they are actually two sides of the same coin, and they are vital for each other to survive and work together for our ability to reach our own peak potential in this one life that we get to live. And how we feel in our is not just in our head, it's also in our gut. And this is what we do best. So before I bring on this amazing lady, I do want to let people know that this MoJo Entertainment is an app that's actually you can download on your Android or your Apple phone. And it's a great platform to download, and MoJo TV, MoJo Entertainment. And this is a streaming platform where we're not only on the phones, but we stream to Roku, to Fire Stick, to YouTube, to access a plethora of a number of individuals who you will hear. Joanna has her own series on this channel as well. So with that, we'll be right back, and we'll bring Joanna to the stage. All right, we are back, and sorry for those technical glitches. Hey, when you go live, you got to go with it. You just go with the flow. So we are back with Joanna Kleier, and who is joining us from Durante, California. She's a mom. She's a public figure. She's an Amazon #1 best-selling international author 3 times. I've got to add 3 times over. She is the producer of JoJo's MoJo, which is also aired on MoJo TV. She's a certified life coach and so much more. So welcome to Holistic Mental Fitness, JoJo.
Thank you so much, Jeffrey. It's an honor and a privilege to be here with you. I am so grateful for MoJo Entertainment, and I'm grateful that you have hopped on to our platform with your own show, and it's great to be here with you.
Thank you so much. So let's get started. And before I jump into the questions that I want to share and ask you, and share with the viewers is share first a little bit about who Joanna is outside of your business as a solo mompreneur.
Well, I am like the girl next door, but I'm one of the top percent of the people out there because I love making people laugh. I love bringing people joy, and I've always been different than most people, and so I really appreciate being unique in that. And I'm the baby of 5 children. My dad was a war veteran of Vietnam and Korea. My mom, they were married 41 years, and they lost their first child when he was 7. So that was very stressful.
Mhm.
And I've been married for about 27 years. And so I'm a very dedicated, loyal, outgoing, just gregarious person who wants to experience everything in life. And so I really love just going the extra mile, doing things that scare me, taking my life from zero to hero. And that's what I want to help people in my life do, give them hope and give them excitement for the future, and have goals and dreams, and know that you can do anything you want. You just have to choose.
Absolutely. I love that. Baby of 5. I'm the oldest of 5. So we got something in common there, but also commonality of going out there, being a go-getter, getting what you want to achieve. And also more so about sharing. You talk about hope. And I talked about that earlier. 4 years ago, I was looking for that hope and actually was receptive to receiving some information. So, and that's what the beauty is of us doing what we're doing, is we're sharing with people to say, hey, don't give up, don't quit, just keep pushing through. So that was beautiful. And thanks for sharing that. So, hey, you're producing your own and hosting your own show, JoJo's MoJo Show. So tell our viewers what your show is all about and where they can go check it out.
Hi, yes. Thank you, Jeffrey. I originally had decided, because I went from my bottom and I overcame a lot of things. We'll go into that a little bit more later. But I decided I wanted to go bigger. That and I've been called insatiable, meaning I'm never satisfied. So like when I get to a certain level, it's like I want more and I want more. And so I decided during COVID, and a lot of people had a lot of trauma during COVID. I'm a frontline worker, or was a frontline worker. I'm working on going into JoJo's MoJo full time on MoPo Entertainment. So I'm really excited about that. And so that's the next phase of my growth and next step. But it's scary to put yourself in front of a computer, because you have to have self-confidence, self-love. And I actually did not have that. In 2014, I did not have that. I was in an addiction of alcoholism, and it was a progressive illness. So by the time I got some help for it, I was starting to be late for work and stuff like that. And so it was starting to take over my life. So I decided to hop onto Les Brown's Power Voice system during COVID, because there was a lot of entrepreneurs and business people that had to close shop. So what they did was they closed shop, and then they started these virtual classes. And I was really at a really dark point, because I had lost my mom tragically after even going through the recovery process. Thank you. That was about 4.5 years ago. And when you have an experience like that, what happens is your brain just says, okay, all the little stuff doesn't matter. And it puts you in a different space where you're not just surviving, you're wanting to live. And I want to bring that up right now, because people are taking their lives every day. And actually what's happening is they don't feel they have a choice in that matter, but they do. So I've always put that out there where if anybody suffers from depression, there's all support groups and there's all sorts of things on the side note. But as far as JoJo's MoJo is concerned, it taught me how to edit my own shows. It taught me to push through. I mean, I was so uncomfortable. My anxiety level was through the roof. And after my mom died, I started doing meditation through a program called the Net May. And she taught me how to meditate. And that really helped with any kind of PTSD or trauma that I had experienced. Going back to the Les Brown experience, it was a whole year during COVID. So we had an opportunity to share our stories, and we would tell him our stories, and then he would tell us our stories back to us. And his business manager, John Tellerico, had decided to put this course together to help people who were in their bottom, who had gone through a lot of stresses in their life, and to help them through this difficult time. Because see, COVID was not my first traumatic experience. And so I had been through it before, but for a lot of people in the world, this was the first time where we would experience this all at the same time around the world. It was painful.
Exactly.
But at the same time, there was a lot of people wanting to connect together and make the world a better place. And through modern technology, Zoom, Skype, and all these wonderful mediums, we were able to connect international. I would not have an international best-selling author experience if it weren't for COVID, if it weren't for all the great minds that had put streaming together and all these, it started with an idea, right?
Yeah, I mean, that period during COVID was a period where game changers change when change is required. And what that means is those of us who said, wait a minute, we have to pivot here. Something is going on, and we can't sit back and just let it happen. We've got to do something about it for ourselves and for other people. And that was when I became a first-time international best-selling author as well during the COVID, episodes and that whole pandemic for a couple of years. And I'm just very, very thankful that I achieved what I did, because I had no depression during COVID. I had none, absolutely none. And I know people, it impacted people in different ways. And I was empathetic to what they were going through and trying to understand, talking to people, which is great. And you talk about these groups and these gatherings and talking. This is really, it's excellent. We have to do that. And that's part of what this show is. But the reality is we need to start talking about solutions that are out there that are safe and work, because the solutions that are out there today are not working for people. And that's what we're here for. We're talking about solutions.
When you are depressed, you feel there's no end. I remember in the peak of my depression, I remember feeling like a rat in a maze where there was no openings and no ceiling, and I could barely see light. That was my visual picture at the time. This was years ago. When I was at the peak of my addiction. And so the thing is that when we go through hard times, it makes us stronger, and we get through a whole lot of things, but we don't realize that we're actually getting through a whole lot of things. We're sitting in what we're experiencing now, but we don't have to experience that always. And
exactly.
It's wonderful to be able to take yourself outside of that. So when it comes to JoJo's MoJo, I was able to work through a lot of my issues, helping other people talk about their stories, taking them from zero to hero. But now we're into transition. I want to thank my wonderful friend, Michelle Mupo, for encouraging me to transition into comedy, because I don't want to sit in that pain all the time, right? And so at some point we move forward. So she's talked to me for a whole year. Get your hair in curlers. She was an agent for many people, ghostwriter for the top musicians in the 80s for Sony Music as a ghostwriter. And so this is an amazing experience. I got
to add that. I have to add that. The next Carol Burnett.
Yeah, there you go. Well, that's what she says. However, I'm actually the next generation of Carol Burnett or the Golden Girls. And if it weren't for Michelle encouraging me and pushing me as my agent, mentor, and me being willing to be uncomfortable again and again
Right.
and again and to grow as a person, see how it just makes you light up. So listening to what it took me a year to get my damn hair in curlers, and then it's taken me a while to even get myself in front of that camera doing a cameo appearance. I have a 7-minute clip when you go on my website for MoJo Entertainment. It's a 7-minute clip. It's just the beginning. As soon as I get 6 shows, we're going to upload it and promote it. But to transition from doing something easy like interviewing is easier than actually coming up with content for yourself to just be in front of the camera. And so it's been a struggle a little bit. However, MoJo Entertainment has a collective. You're one of my wonderful co-stars in your own show here, and I'm on here with you. And and if it weren't for the great minds like Michelle Mupo, she tells us, "Don't think, just do." This is
Just
the
do.
very good thing because I have overthought for so many years, and
So have I. Yeah.
you get uncomfortable. It's okay. Sit in it. Not too long. Just push forward. And it's been a struggle. I mean, it's hard to be a mentor of people that are kind of slow, like as far as pushing through your obstacles and your fears. But because we have that environment where on MoJo Entertainment, we can have our own show. We own our own content.
Right.
You put it on YouTube, they own your content. And in this situation, she wants to make it easy for anybody who's ever wanted to be famous. Anyone who's wanted to be famous, and give us the tools on how to do that. So I'm putting that in a show. I'm having all these wonderful new ideas come up. I have like a mascot. He's this orangutan, and I put curlers in his hair. I have like red punching gloves, and I'm just gonna do some really odd things here and there. The first episode, and it's on my website, is about customer service and my experiences with that. And of course, during COVID, I was behind the cashier as a cashier, watching everybody go through all this. And I was able to bring light to them and hope to them, as painful as it was, with a smile on my face. I put on music at one point to calm everybody down because it was horrific. And people were like at home and with their spouse, and domestic violence is on the rise, and
whole dynamic change in regards to living since 2019. So, you've talked about your show, and I wanted to do that right out of the gate because I wanted to share that up front instead of waiting to the end. And you talked about the mental challenges throughout your life. So this is a holistic mental fitness interview series about talking about stories. So share a little bit more. You mentioned about the alcoholism, but share a little bit more about, what you have learned and through your own experiences, and how important this is to, to the world today, and coming from JoJo's perspective.
Yes. My mom and I were very tight. My dad and I were very close. They had a domestic violence background. My dad was a war veteran. And so as the years progressed, he passed away in when I was 28 years old. So it was 1998. And he had cancer, and he was 64 years old. And he had done a lot of bad things to our family and with violent tendencies. But I learned later that it was because he had blackouts. He was an alcoholic too as well. So he would have violent rages, blackout, wake up out of them and not remember. It happens all the time to war veterans because they experience, and trauma is the reason why they have these issues. Childhood trauma, adult onset trauma from childhood. The majority of it's from childhood. And so he really experienced a lot of trauma. And so I was able to, as the baby of the family, I lived at home till I got married at age 25. So I was able to be there when he was in hospice, and I was able to be there for 12 years when he was sober and get to know this person. And I created a safe space for him. So he would tell me everything he did, and he was very upset about it. It was like he made amends with me. That was back when I was 28. And I didn't realize how powerful that was till now, that he could share what was on his heart. And so when it comes to mental health, my mom was in Al-Anon. My dad got help. He quit drinking. I lived in the house. So I was able to see, and this is a very rare occurrence. Not everybody gets to experience this. I'm not saying
Sure.
their marriage wasn't perfect, but the violence stopped.
Wow, that's awesome.
Quit drinking. Yep. I
Yeah.
shared his hard times and what he did, and he was able to make amends with me, and I was able to forgive him and tell him, you know what, I love you no matter what. You're my dad. And the thing is that when you're going through all that stuff, when you're in your 20s, you don't realize how it affects you. And you wake up. Well, I grew up in a very traditional, very strict religious background where I wanted to do everything right, drink at 21, there was other things that I was taught that were very scary. It was like lightning was going to come down and strike me in the head if I did something wrong, or I wasn't going to make it in the kingdom of heaven, or, I wasn't going to be in the book of life, so there was a lot of fear back in the day. And thank God we don't have to experience that now. I have two beautiful young women who are like 19 and 22 years old, and they didn't have to have that same background of fear. I made every opportunity for them, if it were dancing, singing, musical theater, all sorts of things that they were able to do. I was a part of a youth group for my church. A lot of wonderful leaders. I had that opportunity. I had a lot of positive things in my life, but what had happened was I let those traumas and the negative things become a part of who I was because of the background of my childhood, the paradigms. I've taken a 6-month course with Bob Proctor Gallagher Institute. There's many things that I did during COVID because I wanted to get better. My whole life, I wanted to get better. And there's one thing that stuck with me. My mom told me, healthy people get help. Hurting
That's
people.
That's absolutely correct.
And
absolutely correct.
The message is we could take ourselves out of these situations. We could create a positive environment. There's so many resources out there. I started the 12-step program, and I went through the whole 12 steps. The reason why they send people, if they get a DUI, to the recovery groups is because it works. You had someone had a spiritual background, and then you had a doctor, and they worked together to put these 12-step programs together, and they save lives every day. So I'm very proud. I'm very proud to say that I'm 3.5 years sober again. I did 2.5 before. I'm off all psychotropic drugs. I'm feeling everything. I have meditation. I pray. I do meditation. I eat healthy most of the time. I take, of course, we're going to talk about that in the next segment. I take happy juice, and it's so perfect for me because I'm a very happy, joyous person. And we cannot ever take for granted how we were born. And we have to make sure that we get help. There's help out there. Reach out to me anytime.
Yes, absolutely. And so that brings us to the this happy juice, this happy mind pack, and this is something that I really love sharing with individuals just to get, first of all, educated about solutions that are out there that are safe and work, and evaluate, because our brains are working pretty much nonstop today. And we want to be able to wake up our brain in the morning and have some clarity. And it's all about being able to feed some cutting edge neurotropics with potent adaptogens, which is, nutrition for our brain and for our gut, which helps with motivation and focus and mental energy and overall, state of mind, because so many people are just out there and they're just in la la land. And so when we talk about supportive things, we talk about medication. The medication out there is not working long term. We have to get to the root cause. And today's science is showing that the root cause for a lot of mental acuities that we're dealing with, stress, anxiety, depression, really stem from gut health. So if you're somebody who's looking for more motivation, brain health, neuron regeneration, focus and memory, mental energy, and endurance, take a peek at this, because JoJo is going to talk about Happy Juice. And this Happy Mind Pack is Happy Juice on steroids. Hang on a second. Okay, so those, you can go to the holistichappymind.com and evaluate it, see what you think it will do. And JoJo, let's share a little bit about, you've been on it for, I think, 3 months now, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
So share a little bit about what your experience has been incorporating this into your lifestyle on a daily basis.
Well, originally I love coffee, but I was noticing that coffee was making me full of anxiety. So I've kind of took a step back and decided to drink less coffee with my mindset coach. It's very important that we realize that coffee is great. It helps me with focus as well, but there's a crash, and I don't like to crash. It's very uncomfortable. And so because of you, Jeffrey, and Michelle MoJo, I have been introduced to Happy Juice. I just became a brand partner to sell Happy Juice. And the reason why I like Happy Juice is because there's no crash. It is for gut health. So there's two brains, right? So your stomach is your first brain, and then your brain. And so if you're taking Happy Juice, I'll take it in the middle of my shift around maybe lunchtime, and I'll mix the two together. Pomegranate, lime, and grape, and I'll mix the two together, and it's very fruity. It's almost like a refresher, at this other company, but I'm not going to talk about them. But you put them together, you drink it. There's berries floating in there. It's really cool. It's all berries. It's all natural. Take it, and it helped me get through the rest of my shift without a crash, and it tastes really awesome. It comes with these wonderful pills you take for focus and clarity, mental clarity, and mood. And I noticed at first that it was correcting some of the hormones that I had because I'm post-menopausal. So I was noticing I was getting a little bit more emotions, which was really interesting because I had been on psychotropic drugs and alcohol for so many years, from the ages of 21 till 45, which is a very long time. Most of my adult life checking out, numbing myself out. And Happy Juice is one of those wonderful products. It's natural. You don't have the crash. If you're feeling a little bit energy when it goes down a little bit, you can take it and you perk right back up. If you have a long day ahead of you, as being a solo entrepreneur, solopreneur, and you need to go like 16 hours a day sometimes, it will give you that extra push, that extra shove. I've noticed that I do have more energy. I am able to focus a little bit more. I'm less scatterbrained, and some days I miss on it, but the majority of the time I take it, put it together, and I'm going to start selling it. So anybody interested in purchasing that pack, I have a special link, and we'll put that after our wonderful interview here. But it's great. No crashing, lower the coffee, have more energy, more clarity, more inner peace. And I combine the meditation with all the other things that I do, my recovery groups, getting help out there, listening to people that really care about me. And I'm a whole lot better than I used to be. And I'm excited to continue with Happy Juice, to keep it going and to sell it and that to other people.
Oh, that's great. Yes. And I'm happy to have you on board. And, it's really getting out to those individuals who are looking for some really healthy stimulants in regards to feeding the brain with plant-based protocols, because that's what plants are put here for. Plants are put here for a reason, and we're here to share that information with individuals rather than all those chemically pumped up energy drinks that are out there that are not good for you, because this works on energy, mood, motivation, metabolism, and it opens up the neurotropics for the brain to feed the brain and really helps elevate that communication between the gut and the brain. And we actually, so there are three hearts. There are three brains. This is the first brain, the gut is the second brain, and the heart is the third brain. So this is pretty amazing because they all do talk to each other and communicate. So we're getting really close to wrap up here. And I do have one more question for you. I do want to get your input on this, because this is one of my favorite questions on top of learning all of the stuff that you shared today, because it's so important to share our stories. But if there was one piece of advice that you could give somebody who is watching us live or who is watching us on the replay, who is looking for that glimmer of hope from a personal perspective or a professional perspective or both, what would that piece of advice be?
I have to say that I felt isolated and alone the majority of my life. And that takes me to the next thing. Find somebody that you can talk to. One person you trust about anything that you're going through. Because if you could share it, then you're releasing it out into the universe and giving it away, and you're not holding it. And so I would tell them to get help, because there's so much help out there. But when you're depressed, you're like, you don't even see it.
Right.
It's right in front of your face. And I remember, I'll give you an example. I remember the second time I quit my addiction, my substance, my eyes had this malaise on them. It was like a little blurry, glossy when I would look out at an ocean or whatever, and it wasn't really that beautiful,
Wow.
So now I take Happy Juice, I take care of myself, I go out for walks in nature, I meditate, and there are tools that we have out there that have been used for centuries.
Yep.
To get help, and healthy people get help. And so that would be the one thing that I would suggest. Get help. There's help out there. Reach out to anybody. Reach out to me. I've helped so many women with their self-love, getting out of toxic relationships for years. And I'm getting out of one myself. And so I'm not alone. And it's hard for me because it's hard for me to reach out. It really is. Because I was the type of person that would do it all for myself. And we can't do that in business.
No, we can't.
Have a team, right? We can't do that in our personal life. And they've always told me, my mentors, family, they don't see it, right?
That's absolutely correct.
You see your dream. You see your vision. Own it.
Own it. Exactly.
Own it. Name it. I have a saying, name it, claim it, blab it, grab it. Because the thing is that if you don't, it'll take over you. So family members, they're not going to be the ones that actually support you. The ones that are going to support you have the same vision you have. On MoJo Entertainment, we have the same vision. We want more.
Yeah.
It's never enough. We want to help people. We want them to have peace in their life.
Yeah. I'm
not peaceful all the time, but I have the tools now.
Exactly. And that's the key right there. And you talked about own it. And I want to let you know that next week I am bringing to the stage Marisa, who is the editor-in-chief of Own It magazine. So we talk about own it, be the CEO of your life, and, get out there and take 100% control, because you have the ability to do that. So with that, Joanna, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to be my special guest tonight, to bring so much value, so much of your story to our listeners who hopefully will resonate. And you can reach JoJo's MoJo at mupoentertainment.com/mupo-tv-channel/MoJo's JoJo's MoJo. I'm getting MoJo around here. Oh boy, that happy juice is springing my brain here. So with that, it's like, okay, yep, I got to do it again. So with that, I believe that we all should be living in abundance and optimum wellness, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. And last but not least, mental fitness is the new physical health. And I will catch you on the inside next week.